Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here today. May this practice bring you grounding and peace.
So, welcome to your 60-minute gentle Hatha. If you'd like a bolster, anything to support your Shavasana to begin, go ahead and get comfortable, and we'll find ourselves lying down if that's the most comfortable for you. Just taking a moment to position the arms and the legs, creating space between the ears and the shoulders, lengthening out through the neck. And of course, draping the legs over pillows, props, whatever you've got, if that brings more comfort into that low back. And then let's begin by just observing these next couple of rounds of breath. And then let's take a longer breath in on our next inhale, filling up all the way. Hold at the top or take an extra little sip of air if you can, and then when you're ready, part through the jaw, the lips, and just let it go. Ha. Just observing the breath and its more natural state as the body begins to settle into the position that we've chosen to start our practice in today. So just a very gentle effort to release any tension in the body, including the muscles of the face. And just letting go of everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks. Letting go of any future thoughts or plans and giving yourself permission just to arrive on your mat, arrive in the space that you're in. Now that we've had a moment to allow things to begin to settle, giving yourself that brief amount of time to begin to surrender, just notice if that's started to happen. Maybe there's a little more resistance if things have been especially busy or chaotic in the most recent past, leading up to today, this moment. And just bringing your awareness back to your body, noticing if there's any areas of holding, and just soften in, feel the breath flow in and out. Just observing that union, the mind, the body, the breath, the senses. You may want to change positions of the arms or hands to feel a little more opening across the chest. So if the arms are down at the sides of the body, it might feel good to send the arms out to a T position, maybe bending through the elbows and clasping the palms open to bring under the back of the skull, or maybe just cactus arms Whatever feels good for you. Again, create a little more space between the ears and the shoulders. If there's any congestion there, and begin to feel the backs of the arms and the shoulder blades just gently ground down towards the earth as we feel a nice opening across the chest. Taking a moment to set an intention for your practice today. Maybe as you've had some time to reflect and arrive in your practice, something arose for you, maybe a word, maybe just through reflection, an intention or a message came through. And not worrying if nothing did, whatever your intention is, just your I or I am statement, repeating it to yourself a few times with conviction. And then maybe breathing it in on your next inhale, repeating your intention one more time as you take a long, slow, full breath in. And then let everything go. Feel your body grow heavy and relaxed. And then we'll begin to bring little movements as we're ready into the body. Maybe we release the arms in some way if they're binded behind the head, and we could just begin to wiggle through the fingers and the toes. Maybe gently rocking the head from side to side. So once the fingers, the toes, the back of the skull gotten a little movement, we could bring those legs in. Even if that bolster props underneath the legs, we could lift through the lower legs and just find some length here, experimenting with rotating through the wrists and ankles or flexing and extending through the heels and the toes, just whatever feels good. And then let's send the arms and legs wide out to a star shape. Take a little softer bend into the elbows, the knees, and just feel your body stretched out in this position, the shoulders, maybe wiggling them further down. Take a couple rounds of breath, feeling and noticing the surfaces of your body that make contact to the surfaces beneath. Notice where you feel energy, maybe through the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes, maybe even through the crown of the head. Maybe the eyes are still closed and you feel the eyeballs as glowing orbs of energy. Good, and then we'll start to zip everything back in, maybe down through the legs, take a bend in through the knees, adjust through the hips and the pelvis, and ground down into those feet about hip distance apart. Change the arms to whatever comfortable position feels good for you. Good, we're going to draw the right knee in towards the chest. So maybe the hands scoop to the shin, maybe behind the knee, or maybe using a strap. Just let that left knee kind of drop out to the left slightly, stabilizing through the hips. And we'll just start with little squeezes. Exhaling to squeeze the right thigh in. And as the body inhales, just lessening that bind and experiencing the abdomen expand with breath as the thigh gently falls away. Good option to extend the left leg down the length of the mat. Add a little flexion through the heel to keep the joints through the left leg in alignment with one another. Good, and then we'll release the right hand to the right, the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Take a big breath in as we exhale. Let's cross the right leg over to the left. Maybe the left hand just rests heavily on the outside of the right knee, weighing it down here. Maybe the head gently turns over to the right. And just relax through the left hip, the left glutes, the entire left leg relaxed. Try to soften the shoulders, the jaw. And come back to observing your breath, maybe closing the eyes. Good. We'll take one big breath in. Using our exhale to bring the head back, followed by the right side of the body. We'll squeeze that right leg in and then let that foot come on back down. Bring the left knee back to a bend to shift our weight and body in alignment, the midline of the mat, and then we'll ground through the right foot to begin and draw the left knee in. Again, maybe that right knee just starts to drop out as we just take these little pulsing squeezes, moving with our breath. Good. You might extend the right leg out, or it can stay exactly where it is. Then when we move into our twist, the knees kind of stack over one another. So you decide. We'll release the left hand and arm down. Take a big breath in, the right hand guiding the left knee over to the right as we exhale. The chin might feel like it wants to turn over that left shoulder, maybe closing back through the eyes. And again, notice if you have a tendency to hold tension in the right hip, glute, leg, and just soften in. Letting go of tension a little more with each exhale. And just observing as our breath slows down. And then after your next exhale, we'll start if the head turn last to bring it back first, rolling the left side of the back body into the mat. Maybe we bring that right knee to a bend as we squeeze the left thigh in once again, and then release that leg down. Good. Once the feet are planted, adjust yourself. Maybe wiggle those knees from side to side a few times. And then if you have a block, or maybe it's a cushion or something different at home, we're going to reach for it now. And we're going to come into waterfall. So if you have the option or you prefer to come up to legs up the wall, go ahead. We're going to lift the hips, slide whatever prop we've got close by underneath the low back. And then just bring the feet away from the mat. Maybe the knees kind of hover over the hips, making sure that you don't feel any compression or flexion through the spine, rather an incline from the sacrum down to the shoulders, and then option to extend those legs up to the sky. So again, a softness to the knees, softness to the ankles. The arms can stay grounded, or we could use an inhale to float them up as well. Just feeling that broadness across the shoulders and that equal broadness across the chest at the front of the body. All the joints of the limbs are soft. Maybe the eyes are closed. And you can add little sways, little movements, little circular motions, or just find a little more stillness here. Just taking some time again to calm our minds, reverse the arterial blood flow, giving our heart a little break from pumping to the lower extremities. Let's slow our breath here, maybe practicing our diaphragmatic breathing. For some, there's been a lot of chaos in our lives recently, in the world. So focusing on what we can control, and that is centering ourselves, taking time to move out of a state of fight, flight, or freeze and into that parasympathetic state, stimulating our vagus nerve through diaphragmatic breaths and mindful movement today. Good. Now just soften anywhere you feel tension is resurfaced, and we'll take 3 more slow rounds of breath here. Let's take 1 more inhale, and we'll use our exhale to slowly float the arms down. We'll pause with the legs still lifted as we breathe in, and use our exhale just to soften a bend into the knees. Breathing in once again, and we'll use that last exhale to release the soles of the feet to the mat, about hip distance, toes pointing down. And then press into those feet just to lift the hips enough to slide that block out from underneath us. And just very slowly lower the hips down, or whatever prop you've had under there. Good. Let's bring a little rock into the knees from side to side. Maybe we stretch the upper body by reaching the arms overhead or out to the sides in that more star shape, wiggling through the fingers. And just notice where you feel a little more space in your body. Good. Once those knees are back to center, soften the elbows, push into the feet. Slide the hips to one edge of the mat. We'll fall into a fetal position on the other side. And just take a moment here, maybe closing back down through the eyes, maybe curling in, supporting the head with the lower arm. Good. And then we'll press the upper hand into the mat. And we're going to transition our way up onto our bottoms. We're going to find ourselves in a cross-legged seated position to start. So just rooting down, pulling the fleshy bits back and away. Find that little wiggle to soften and adjust. Good. Nice and slow. We're going to try to get into most areas of the body today. If it's been a while since you've been on your mat, let's take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, just slowly dropping the chin to the chest. Relax the shoulders and feel that broadness, the front of the shoulders. As we imagine the shoulder blades gently drawing in towards one another to create that opening through the front of the body. Let's begin to move with breath, just using our inhales to roll the chin over to one shoulder, just to wherever it's comfortable. Using our exhales to float chin to chest. And our inhale to the opposite shoulder. Finding your range of motion and your momentum while coordinating your breath if that serves you today. And most importantly, just really giving yourself the gift of experiencing this movement, how it feels in our body, and how it continues to calm our nervous system and those more subtle layers of our being. Shoulders still relaxed. And we're going to end with the right ear dropped over towards the right shoulder. Experiment with the chin, lifting it, tucking it, whatever feels best. And then we're releasing the left hand down to the mat beside the left hip. Walk the fingers away without losing the length through the spine. Good. Relaxing the shoulders, deep, easy breaths. Take another inhale. Release that left hand to the thigh. Exhale, chin to chest, and we'll roll very slow over to the left side. Again, relax the shoulders, adjust the chin up or down, wherever feels good, opening through the right side of the neck, and then we'll release the right hand out to the right, walk the fingers away, finding length through the spine, through engagement of the core, nice and soft through the elbows, and just pause here to breathe and experience the stretch through the right side of the neck. And filling up this next inhale, releasing the right hand to the lap, exhale, chin to chest, and then pause here for a breath in and a breath out. Go nice and slow, lift through the head, bringing it back to center. We're going to lean back into the hands, turn the fingers forward as we release the legs. We're planting the feet about hip distance. So preparing for a reverse table pose. The fingers can kind of turn out on an angle, whatever's comfortable here, but walk the wrists under the shoulders, maybe closer in. Pull the navel towards the spine so it feels like the chest is puffing, but the ribs are tucked. Take a nice big breath in as we exhale. We're going to lift through the hips, and you can lift and lower if it's not comfortable to stay lifted, or we're going to lift the hips about knee height. You can still keep the gaze down, not forcefully, or you can start to drop the head so the gaze is towards the sky. Maybe closing the eyes or drop the head back with control, not just letting the neck flop back. Lift those hips if they're sinking down, press into the heels, the big toes, maybe lift the baby toes away from the mat. And then see if you can lift the chest a little closer to the sky without locking the elbows. Relax your jaw, maybe the jaw parts, and we breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Taking a few rounds, let the navel fall towards the spine. Good, one more big breath in. Use your exhale just to tuck the chin slowly to the chest. Inhale to pause, exhale, slowly release the hips down. Once the hips or tail makes contact, just pause for a moment. Notice how you feel, and then we'll use the core, walk the hands forward, cup the hands at the shins, breathe in to grow tall, give that little wiggle, and then we're going to exhale to fold forward. So again, maybe closing the eyes, taking a moment of introspection, contemplation, softening, and surrendering. One more full round of breath here. Letting it go any way it feels good to you. And then we're going to roll up. We're going to stay in the same position that we're in. Maybe adjust if needed. Maybe bring those feet in a little closer. Let's see if we can reach for the toes. You can flex through the heels if you like. You could reach for the outsides of the feet, or you could use a strap here. And what we're going to do is try not to round too much through the spine, although it's going to happen a little bit. We're going to still trying to stay tall and more erect and active. And then we're going to try to find our balance on our sacrum. So once the heels are lifted, maybe you're just lifting and lowering because that feels better than maybe toppling over. Maybe you start to straighten out through the legs. You could hook the hands behind the knees or straighten out a little more and just add a little rock. So just feeling playful in your movement, using that core to bring your movement in. You might even explore a happy baby from this position. So imagining we're on our backs, starting to draw the knees, thighs to the outer rib cage. And again, you can explore movement just like we would on our back, or if it really calls to you, let yourself roll back and have a little fun. Good. And then from here, we're going to see, and we can certainly touch down if that feels best for our own bodies. But we're going to see if we can move into boat pose, bringing the legs together, flexing through the heels, or you can always opt to point the toes if that feels better for you. You can use those hands in behind the knees to pull everything in. You can experiment with straightening out through the legs. Maybe it's just through, again, movement, or maybe pausing somewhere where you feel challenged. You might even release through the arms. So wherever you are, use that core, pull it in, feel your spine nice and tall. Make sure you're breathing, not clenching through the jaw or furrowing the brow. Good, just a couple more rounds of breath. One more inhale. Hands can come back behind the knees or lowering the soles of the feet down about hip distance. Same thing from a reverse table. Pull up on that inhale and then use your exhale to fold forward. And maybe closing through the eyes, taking some deep breaths into the back body. You might opt for little movements or just find stillness and surrender. And after your final round of breath or next round of breath, we'll slowly roll our spine up. Let's release the legs over to one side, and we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop position. And coming on down, spreading those fingers nice and wide, adding extra cushioning where you need it if you feel a little more comfortable. And we're just going to start by swaying a little from side to side. Noticing how those wrists feel so we can modify if there's any kind of pain. Good. And then once we come back up to all fours, just focusing on our alignment, engaging the core, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and the tummy tucked in. Bringing the knees in a little closer together, we're going to use our inhale to begin to extend the left leg behind us, flexing the heel, and again, lift the ribs. The left palm rather might step in slightly if we want to add that right arm reaching it forward in the opposite direction. So find what works for you. I like to bring the hands and knees in a little closer to find that center of gravity, but I know that's not going to work in everybody, so find what works in yours. And then we're just focusing on lengthening as we inhale and softening into the pose as we exhale, with a couple of different options here. So option to start to reach the right arm in behind, bending through the left knee, and if possible, bind the right hand to the left foot, and then press the foot into the hand to lift and open through that right shoulder, getting a nice stretch through the left quad here. No matter what you're doing, maybe you're just keep still lengthening out, reaching. We're breathing deeply, long, slow inhales, long, slow exhales. Good. If we're binded, we're going to exhale and then use our inhale to lengthen all the way back out, holding here. before releasing the right hand and the left knee down. Good. Pick up that left wrist, give it a few rolls in one direction and then the other, or any movement that calls to you here. And then we'll set up for the other side. So this time, with that core engaged, neutral spine, we're going to extend the right leg behind us, flexing through the heel. And if you feel the femur pulling away from the hip, that leg reaching further away, just tuck it in, bring those hips back to alignment. Right hand might step in slightly if we want to add the left arm. So you could just stay with one limb reaching and lengthening. If adding a second limb throws your balance off, work with where you're at. Yoga will meet you where you are. And then if you want a little more, sending the left arm behind, bending the right knee, reaching hand to foot, and pressing in. Feel that nice stretch through the right quad, the opening through the left shoulder. If your body will allow, wherever you are, find that easy rhythmic breath. Good. On your next inhale, very slowly unbind, lengthen back out. Find that core engaged. And then we'll lower the left hand and the right knee down. Let's curl our toes if it's available. Walk the hands back towards the knees. Get a nice stretch out through the feet. And we can roll out through the wrists here. Bring any movement into the wrists or shoulders that feels good. Good. We're going to make our way back down onto all fours. Flatten through the tops of the feet. Give them that smack. Get the blood flowing. Let's explore a little down dog. Curl those toes. Sink the hips back towards the heels. The head starts to shift between the arms. And then lift those knees up, finding your downward facing dog. Change how you come up into your down dog if it feels better for you, of course. And let's begin by just pedaling out, lengthening out through the back of the legs, feeling that stretch not only through the soles of the feet as we pedal out, but up through the Achilles tendons, the calves, the back of the knees, and the hamstrings. Good. Maybe as we pedal, let's start to bring the feet to the width of the mat. Just walking the feet a little wider until we get to the width of the mat. Deepen the bend in the knees and just walk the hands back about halfway. Maybe the heels touch. So we're in a upside down V shape still, but we're definitely in a shorter stance. Take a big breath in as we exhale. Release the right hand. Bring it to the outside of the left ankle. And then use that bind to open the chest towards that left wide edge of the mat, letting the head hang heavy, nice and loose, away from the shoulders as the shoulders draw down towards the hips, nice and broad. Deepen the bend in the right knee. Maybe let those hips just gently sway a little from side to side. Good. One more breath in. We'll exhale, release the right hand. Take a full breath in and out, just a little break in between sides. And then we'll inhale, exhale, left hand to the outside of the right ankle or foot. Using that bind to gently open the chest towards that wide right edge of the mat. And you might kind of feel the hips shifting to the right. So soften the left knee. Let them wiggle from side to side, or just find a more even stability through the hips, the head heavy and easy breaths. One more breath in. Exhale, release the left hand. Let's walk the arms further away. Find our more natural downward dog position. And then we're going to lower the knees. We're going to bring the knees nice and wide and find a child's pose. I've been hanging upside down for some time now, or it feels that way. Maybe the elbows come wide as we support the head, or maybe We change something in our child's pose. Maybe it feels better to have the knees closer together. Maybe it feels good to bring a pillow or a blanket rolled up or a bolster under the torso to rest. Our chest gently on or over. Just allowing the space between the shoulders to really relax here. Slowing our breath. And just feeling sensations of what we've done so far in our practice. Working some of the smaller joints like the wrists and the ankles. We focused on the feet, the backs of the body, the quads, the shoulders and the neck. Work the core through our boat pose. And our reverse table, our glutes, and again our quads. Notice how your body feels. Notice your breath. And let's take another inhale, maybe lifting the head, walk the hands over to the right, and we'll settle back in, opening up a little more through that left side of the body, finding your own expression of child's pose. Good. After an exhale, we can press into those hands to lift the torso, walk to the middle, and all the way off to the left, opening up a little more this time through the right side of the body and just settling in your own way, in your own expression. Child's pose, reaching to the left. Good. And again, after an exhale, we'll lift the head, bring the back to center, walk to the center of the mat. Spread the fingers, reach the arms away, tense through the palms, pressing the fingers into the mat. Slowly drawing yourself back up to that table as we tuck the knees back underneath through the hips. We're going to curl the toes. Exhale to begin to sink the hips slightly back before pressing into those toes and reaching the hips high. And you might just take a couple little petals and then land in your downward facing dog. Let the shoulders broad and the head hang heavy. Release any tension through the neck. Take a rest anytime or flow in your own way anytime. We're going to bring the big toes together with the softness to the knees. The hips, shoulders are nice and square here. We're not shifting the hips to the right or the left or the shoulders to the right or the left. Try to maintain that as we inhale. Send the right leg back for our three-limbed dog. Deepening the bend in the left knee to reach the right heel a little higher. If it will, find your breath. Option here to bend through the right knee and open the right hip, beginning to stack the right hip over the left. So again, try to stay equally grounded through both palms here. Equal distribution of weight through both shoulders, or we might feel a little more through the left. Option to look under the left arm or over the left arm, rolling out a few times through that right ankle in each direction. Good. After an inhale, we'll bring the head back to center. We'll begin to close through the hips, sending the right leg back, squaring back through shoulders, hips, deepen the bend in the left knee. And then nice and slow, lower the right ankle in behind the left. And we're going to walk the hands back towards the legs. So deepen the bend in the knees. You can uncross the legs if that feels better for you, but just find your forward fold at the back of your mat, maybe rocking a little from side to side, letting the head just drop heavy. Good. Nice and slow. Ground into all four corners of those feet, or again, uncross the legs. We're going to roll up. Once the head's over the heart, we're going to sweep those arms out and up. Find your drishti, helping to stay balanced. Use your core, hands clasp overhead. Release the index finger and thumb. Inhale, rise tall. As we exhale, lean to the left. Good. So nice mindful movements, an attempt to keep our balance here. Use that core strength again so we're not sticking our tail behind us. We're going to inhale back to center, again using control. Exhale over to the right. Slowly inhale back to center. Add a little heart opener, that core engage, lengthen through the entire body, and then drop the shoulders down to lift the heart and the chin. Take one more breath in. Exhale, bring the head and arms back to neutral. Release the arms down to the sides. Good, soften those knees and let the head drop heavy to fold forward into that fold. Once there, walk the hands forward. As we find our downward dog, extend the right leg back, coming back to three limb. And then we'll lower the right leg down beside the left, pedal out, find that hip distance apart. Of course, take a break in between if you like. And then land in your down dog. Bring the big toes together if it's helpful. Shoulders, hips stay square. We mindfully use an inhale to send the left leg back now, finding three limb. Deepening the right knee. Good, nice equal distribution of weight through both shoulders. And then option to bend the left knee and peel that hip open, stacking left hip over right. Here you could take the gaze under or over the right arm, maybe roll out through that left ankle a few times in each direction. We'll take a breath in. Exhale, head comes back to center, and then we square through the hips. Extend the left leg long, deepen the bend in the right knee. And as we lower the left leg down, crossing it in behind the right ankle is optional. Walking the hands back towards more the right corner of the mat now, finding our forward fold. So being really mindful, notice where your feet contact. Try to ground down through all four corners, although you might feel a little lifted through the inner edges of the feet. And then slowly begin to roll up. Remember, you can always uncross the legs. Once we lift the head over the heart, we'll send the arms out and up, core is engaged, and we're moving with breath. Find your focal point that's not moving. Clasp the hands, release index finger and thumb. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lean to the right. Using your inhale to slowly come back to center. Again, nice and controlled. Exhale, lean to the left. Inhaling back up. Exhale, relax the shoulders, engage the core. Inhale, lengthen all the way up, and then maybe take a baby back bend. So tail stays neutral. Breathing in your back bend. Exhale, coming back upright. And we'll let those arms just slowly release down. Good. Once the arms are at the sides, drop the chin. Let the head start to roll heavy forward. The knees soften as we make our way back to that cross-legged or uncrossed forward folds. And then we'll walk the hands forward. Release the left leg into that three-limb dog if you haven't had enough already. And then let the left foot come down to meet the right. Let's pedal out. Give the head a little rock or nod. Take some deep breaths in and out. Good. We're going to lower the knees and either grab a sip of water or just come to an upright hero position for a moment. So I wanted to come into a heart opener from here. We're going to come into puppy pose. So option to use props, bolsters, pillows, whatever you have, or not. So get them close by if you want them. So different than our child's pose where we attempt to sink our hips back towards the heels. Sometimes they touch, sometimes they don't. But in our puppy pose, we're keeping the hips more stacked over the knees. They might not completely stay stacked. They might sink back a little. And we're dropping through the upper body, letting the elbows come wide. If we can, the tail starts to lift, so we feel more space through the back of the thighs and the glutes as we allow the chest to come on down. So find your own expression, and if this just doesn't feel right for any reason, and you would prefer to come into a child's pose, maybe experiment with a different variation, like with the knees together or the arms down at the sides. But if you're in puppy, the arms are overhead. Maybe it feels better to turn and rest a temple into the mat. If it doesn't feel good for the neck, to keep the head neutral. Let's focus on taking full breaths in. And on the exhale, just feeling the body soften and let go. And you close back down through the eyes and arrive in the present moment just for a little longer. Now just relax any areas of tension, of holding, and we'll take approximately 3 deep rounds of breath. And then after that final exhale is complete, we can begin to think about pressing the forearms into the mat as we lift the chest and head, walk the elbows back under the shoulders. Maybe we lift the spine, bringing it to a more neutral position. Feel the shoulders come away from the ears and broaden, the head neutral, or a little rock or nod through that head. So just a very slow transition out. Finally, replacing the elbows with the palms. Let's find our tabletop. Be very gentle with yourself as we exhale, rounding through the back body into your cat pose. As we inhale, flexing through the back body and extending through the front line as we drop through the ribs and lift the tail and chin. And let's just flow in our own way. If you want to add more movement, no matter what it is here, go ahead. Explore what your body is asking for. And let's move through that one more cycle, ending in our cat pose with our spine rounded towards the sky, the head hanging heavy between the upper arms. The tail draws under. The head, one more little rock or nod. Good. And then let's walk the hands back towards the knees as we swing the feet around. Just collect anything you'd like to have for your Shavasana close by, or maybe another sip of water. We're going to need to do some core work to come down to our mat. So we'll scoot our bottoms or walk our bottoms down so the heels are close to the bottom edge of the mat. Good. Now knees can be bent or legs extended, but we're adding a little bit of engagement, flexing through the heels. Lifting up, rolling those shoulders down and back. Good. Nice big breath in with that core engaged as we exhale, beginning to roll down. So we could pause on the inhales, re-engage the core if it grows soft, and nice and slow lowering down. Let's let those arms come up overhead once the back of the head reaches the mat. And then we're going to reach the arms back to the sky, engage the core, and see if we can peel back up. Might need those legs for a little bit of momentum. Good, same thing, couple times. It might get easier, it might get harder. Let's explore a few to see what happens. Use that core. And one more time if you want to join me. It's definitely harder for me as we go. Once you're down, let those arms come overhead. Give yourself a nice gentle stretch, adding any movement that calls to you here. Good. We'll take a bend back into the knees, bringing the arms back down to the sides or adjusting whatever needs to be adjusted. Let's just bring the feet wide to the width of the mat. Again, if there's anything you'd like to do or bring into your practice, go ahead. Maybe something's really calling to an area of the body to get into. If you're joining me with this wide-legged stance, take a big breath in as we exhale. Just slowly allow the legs to fall to the right. Maybe the chin turning to the left. You could use props to support through the body here to allow the legs to drop heavy. You could use a bind, bringing the right outer edge of the foot to the outside of the left leg and allowing that just to assist in a little bit of a deeper stretch if it feels good. And maybe just coming back to your diaphragmatic breathing here. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, softens. And as that abdomen deflates or feels like it deflates, release the right leg. We'll slowly bring everything back to center. Again, just readjusting in the middle. Feet wide once again. If you did the same on the first side, we'll take a big breath in. And as we exhale, the knees slowly falling to the left. Maybe they just hang out there. Maybe you use props, or maybe you take that bind of the left foot and placing it on the outside of the right thigh, just feeling the body settle and ground and fall heavy. Just really feeling the diaphragm active as we inhale, abdomen expands, and exhale contracts all the way before releasing and slowly bringing everything back to center. And here you might want just a little rock of the knees. Maybe you just want a little adjustment, or you might bring the knees back into chest and explore more lubrication through those hip joints, whatever, again, resonates with you here. Maybe a final little squeeze on an exhale of the thighs into the abdomen, or maybe adding the nose up towards the knees and just squeezing everything in, contracting, holding, and then using an exhale to begin to release. And just feeling your body come back to the mat, all of the parts, as we find ourselves in a comfortable position for final pose, Shavasana. Maybe taking up space, or maybe again supporting your body with different props, maybe under the head, the knees, or anything that calls to you here. If they haven't already, just finally feeling the eyes relax, the jaw and the tongue. Feel your whole body settle in, and your mind arrive in the deepest center of your being. Maybe you're just beginning to relax and you have the opportunity to stay a little longer. Otherwise, if you're ready, just starting to become aware of the breath. Once again, maybe noticing energy at the tips of the fingers, the toes, and the crown of the head. Maybe starting to bring little movements in through the fingers, the toes, maybe rocking the head from side to side. Maybe you'd like a little more movement, stretching it long. Maybe you're just doing the bare minimum here. Drawing the knees slowly to a bend to plant the feet, maybe adjusting through the hips and pelvis. And slowly falling, adjusting yourself into that fetal position again on one side or the other, taking a pause. Maybe revisit your intention here or a new intention for the rest of your day. And only if you're ready, pressing your way away from the mat to come back to that upright seated position. You'd be crossing the legs in the opposite way. Let's release the arms to the side, flip the palms out, use that core to hold us nice and tall. We'll inhale, sweep the arms out and up, gather the energy you need or require for the rest of your day. Exhale, draw it in as we feel centered and grounded through our root. Hands at the heart. Nice big breath in and let it go. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.